The 2025 Nissan Ariya is actually a very decent car, but it exposes one of the biggest issues with EVs. And honestly, this Nissan product is actually very competitive if you think about it. It has very good pricing, very stylish exterior design, and a very spacious and well-designed interior space as well. So on paper, and as we are going to find out in this video as well, it is actually performing quite well in the real world. But there's still a problem with EVs in general, especially in this small-sized SUV market space. But we are going to start off this video with the interior. They kind of found a middle ground between being techy, being minimalistic, like all other EVs do, but at the same time, it's very close to what you'll find in the conventional cars. So for people who are switching from conventional gasoline cars or hybrid cars, it's going to be a very simple transition. For example, you get this quite interesting dash layout with your AC controls. You're kind of fighting with these buttons which give you a haptic feedback, but honestly, they're not the best. I would prefer the usual buttons, but they still look good, and probably that's important for many people who are shopping in this space. So this is the fully loaded Platinum Plus trim, which has every single option selected, and it's actually pretty expensive. This one will cost you around close to $60,000 US, or if you're in Canada, it's going to be $69,000, which is, I think, a big ask for a vehicle like this. So probably the Platinum Plus trim is going to compete with some luxury-like EVs in this space. But the lowest trim actually comes at a very affordable for this class price of about $40,000 US, or close to $50,000 Canadian, and it's on par with its competitors such as Tesla Model Y, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and the others. But this interior space, apart from being minimalistic, is actually trimmed out with great materials all throughout. As you can see, you get this pretty cool suede dashboard material, which is also existent on the doors as well. You got very comfortable seats. Honestly, these are probably one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sit in any car. You also get a very cool armrest, which is also movable with the touch of this button, but it is actually very convenient because I like my right arm to be resting and touching the wheel right here, and I can adjust it just perfectly for my arm length. I think all of the EVs in this segment look very similar, and it is very hard to distinguish among them. And honestly, just as Savage Geese said, if you switch all of the badges from all of these EVs in this class, and you'll tell an average person to kind of tell which car is which, they wouldn't be able to do so because they all look very bland and homogenized at this point. And overall, I have a feeling like the outside and the inside of this car quite matches, and it also matches the driving experience, which we're going to talk about next. The main good thing you're going to notice when you're driving the Nissan Ariya is very quiet and refined driving experience with great ride. And when it comes to performance, if you get the higher trim like this one with all-wheel drive installed, you're gonna get lots of horsepower, over 350 horsepower to be exact, and it is more than enough for this family EV SUV. You're gonna get from 0 to 60 or from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 5 seconds, which is more than enough, again, for a family vehicle of this size. And if you go for the four-wheel drive option with one motor instead of two, you're gonna get about 250 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't really matter because it takes you from 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds, which is again quite good for this class of vehicle. These family EV SUVs don't need to go fast. It's not their job. So if you don't want all of this power and spend more money, I think you'll be satisfied with the lower trim option. But let's throw ourselves in the sport mode and demonstrate to you how fast it goes from 0 to about 60 kilometers per hour. Nobody behind me. So yeah, it is quite fast for the vehicle of this size. It's punchy, just like any EV SUV in this class. One other thing I noticed as well is that the steering is actually quite heavy for the EV SUV, to be honest. Again, it doesn't have pretty much any feedback. Maybe 5% of what's happening on the road is actually translated into the steering rack, but honestly, you won't find it amusing to drive this car spiritedly. And honestly, it handles pretty well for the car of this size, but nothing to write home about. Like even here, you can see it handles well, but you're gonna feel very dizzy because again, the body roll is excessive in this car, and that's okay because it's a family EV SUV. I specifically came out and filmed this video around sunset because I feel like the best interior look of this car actually is at night. Even though it doesn't have any ambient lighting apart from this strip which only lights up when you're using the adaptive cruise control, I think still it looks pretty stylish, and I enjoy driving this car mostly at night. Even though it has a nice panoramic moonroof, which I feel like comes in every single car nowadays. You get a nice look, especially if you're sitting in the back seat, which is also very, very spacious, which is not surprising again. This car has very good packaging overall on the interior space. You get lots of space in the front, in the back, and you have lots of cargo space in the trunk as well. You don't get a frunk in this car like you get in Teslas, but still, it's enough space for your everyday duties. One of the downsides of driving this car, for some reason the E-Step mode that the Nissan has developed for their EVs is actually not very well implemented. When you are taking off your foot from the gas pedal, it still rolls, like you see right now, so you have to engage the brake pedal anyways. So it's not a true one-pedal mode either, which I don't get why is it happening. So that's why I usually don't use the E-Step mode, and I usually drive this car in B mode, which stands for braking mode. And why I like to use B mode is that it is still using the region braking when you are taking your foot off the gas pedal, but it's not braking very aggressively. It kind of gradually brakes until you are at creeping speeds, and it's not that jarring, and you don't feel dizzy while you're doing so. So it's kind of in the middle of the usual coasting effect and one pedal mode, but I feel like it's the best middle ground when you want to drive this car comfortably. But also one of the main downsides of the Nissan Ariya is charging speeds, and it's not very impressive. So this Nissan Ariya can only charge up to 150 kilowatts per hour, and that means you'll only be able to charge in about 40 minutes from 10% to 80%. For example, the Tesla Model Y can do it in 25 minutes or so if you use the Tesla supercharger. By the way, in 2025, the Nissan Ariya actually gives you the adapter, which I have right now with this press car, to charge at Tesla superchargers. But I think after everything I've told you about this car, you can tell that it's decent and it's competitive within its class. But let's actually talk about why this car exposes the problems with these kind of vehicles. And my first gripe with these vehicles is that it's hard to distinguish between them. So yes, I've driven the Tesla Model Y. It has better tech, it has better software, maybe less of a comfortable ride, but they're still driving very similarly. It is just so hard to give these cars any character. It is so hard for us, for consumers, to choose which one to buy because we have lots of options. There's at least 6 or 7 SUVs in this space. And I think it all comes not to the driving experience, but to the interior experience or the tech experience you have in this car. And maybe that's fair. Maybe we just live in this reality now. But the second problem I have with the cars in this class is its pricing. Even though this car, again, is competitively priced against other SUVs in this space, I still think that it's too much for an average consumer. And I think these cars probably will be a better value when these prices are gonna go down. In my personal view, I think EVs should be much smaller and much more affordable for a normal person. I feel it's quite strange that we don't have lots of affordable EV options. These are quite huge problems for any EV automaker, and the sooner these companies will solve this issue of making their EVs more fun, not just going fast in a straight line, but actually giving these cars more character, giving these cars more distinguishable aspects to them. Like, I'm a fan of the new Ioniq 5N, but this car is about like $70,000 US, which is a lot for a car like this. But I think it's a step in the right direction from Hyundai to make these cars more distinguishable between themselves. But before we get there, I think they have to solve this pricing issue. They have to give us more affordable EV options so that more people will actually get to experience cars like these, which are super comfortable to drive, which are super refined. I'm pretty sure most people out there are gonna enjoy driving EVs rather than gasoline cars, but we are a long way from that if we're gonna get only cars from this size and this price range. So for people who are looking for the EV SUV in this price range, of this size, I'm confident to recommend this car to anyone, especially if you're charging at home and you're not concerned with this slower charging speeds. If you're concerned with that, you can always buy a Tesla Model Y, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, or the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which are my favorite EVs in this space. But again, I have these issues that I identified throughout this video, and if you are willing to live with those, go ahead and buy this car. If not, probably wait for more affordable options to come out, or just don't buy an EV. It's up to you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, keep enjoying the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.